Hello and welcome back to School Life. So in our last video, we were able to insert users' data from the front end and set it at the back end and insert it into our database. So we did something like this, entering a username, we'll say like this, first name and last name. Once we submit, then we go to our database, which is ABC, and we check our table, which is the users table. So once we refresh, we see we have the name. Just wait for it to load. All right, you see have the name prime winner here. And we did something in the last video, which is changing our database connection. So we are using object oriented before, but we changed it to PDO. Okay. And we say why we are using this PDO format is because it is more secure, because we use prepare statement. We don't just insert our data directly into the database. We prepare them, we bind them, and we make sure that they are safe for us to insert into the database. All right, so for this video, I want us to be able to fetch this data that we have inserted into the database and display them for the users to see. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to be creating a new file. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be creating the front end before we fetch those data, and it is usually called CRUD operation. Okay, so I'll explain what that means. So first of all, let's go to our project folder. So we want to create a new file on the root folder. So the new file is going to be, we're going to save it as users.php. Okay, so we are going to be working with CRUD operation, right? So what CRUD operation means, it's C stands for create, R stands for read, U stands for update, and D stands for delete. So far we've done only create, which is the inserting of the data. But now we want to do the read. So let's create the front end that is we're going to place the data on the front end. All right, like a placeholder. So we're going to be using the table. So we go to our index.php, we copy everything we have there, we paste it inside the users table, and we are going to take out the form. Okay, so let's take out the form, just the form. So you from the form opening tag, once you click on the form opening tag, you scroll down, you see it has highlighted the closing tag. So we'll just select all of that and we would delete that. Okay, now how do we access this page? The way to access this page, okay, let's change our title. Let's say all users. All right, so the only way to access this page currently is just by changing this index to users. All right, so once we do that, you see at the top it says all users. But I want us to do something. We don't want to be navigating manual like that, so let's make it dynamic. So we're going to be adding a button here, and it's going to be redirecting us to the users page. So let's go ahead inside the index.php, just above the h5 tag. We're going to add an anchor tag. Okay, the anchor tag is a link tag. It's used to navigate between pages in HTML. So inside the href attribute, which is this, we're going to include the parts of the file which we want to navigate to. So we want to navigate to users.php. So we just write users.php. All right. Then let's give it a name. We'll say let's say view users. All right, we save, we refresh and see what it looks like. So once we do that, it looks like a text, right? So once we click on it, it takes us to users.php, just like that. So, but let's make this look better. Okay, so we're just going to add some Bootstrap classes. So if you guess right, you're going to add the same classes we have for our button. So we're going to say btn, and let's give it info for now, btn info. and that's going to give us a color and format our button. All right, so it said view users. So but let's make this a little bit small because we don't want it to be competing with this submit button. So we're going to say btn small, which is SM. So once we do that, it becomes smaller. All right, so now whenever we click on this, it takes us to the users page. All right, so for me, I like to use btn secondary. All right, I hope I'm spelling that correctly. Let's take out the U. Okay, secondary. We refresh and it gives us this gray color, and once we click, the same thing happens. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start setting up where we want all the users we are getting from the database to be displayed. So we're going to be using HTML table. So inside of our div tag, which has the column, okay, you see it's highlighted at the bottom. We're going to be creating a table. So we're going to say table, all right, table opening and closing tag. Then for each table, every table would have a table head, which is T head, all right, and it's going to have T body, okay, that is table head and table body. So the table head holds the table column. We'll say every table will have a column and every table will have a row. So inside the table head, we're going to say table head. So we're going to say T row. So inside the table head, we're going to have T row, okay? That's going to be holding every of the column. So we're going to have table head like TH, right? This, okay? It's going to be holding each of the columns you want to insert. So for now, we want to insert the ID, or let's say serial number, okay? SN. All right. So let's go back to the table body and let's insert the table row. So each table row is going to hold the table data. All right. All right. So any table data we add here is going to correspond with the table head we have here. All right. So we're going to say TD for table data. So we're going to say 1. So once we save this, let me scroll down so that let me adjust this kind of. All right. So let me explain this further. We have table head, we have table body. All right. And we have T row, which is holding the first column, and we have T row, which is holding the first row. Okay. So let's go ahead and refresh our page, and this is what we have. Okay. So for serial number, we have the first row and the first field in that row going for serial number. Let's go ahead and add another one. So another T head we're going to add is first name, last name, okay, because we have first name and last name in the database. First name and last name. All right. So inside of this, we're still going to duplicate the T head and let's hard code the data. Let's say the name we want to add is Paul. I want to say school life as the surname. So once we refresh, all right, you see what we have? SN, first name, and this. Okay. So if you look now, you see our table is not looking that good. So we're going to be adding some Bootstrap classes to make it look better. So inside of the table tag, opening tag, we're going to add a class and say table. And let's see what that does for us. So you see it's looking better. And we're going to add one more class. We'll say table bordered. So we want to add border to it. Sorry. Bordered is spelled this way, right? Bordered, yeah. Let's refresh and see. All right. So our table has a border now. So let's move it a little bit from the top. Let's add margin top to 5 and we refresh. Okay, so we see it has been moved from the top. Let's do one more thing. I'd like to add table striped. I like to have it striped. Right. Yeah. So one more thing we're going to do is let's add more fields because we want to make this table dynamic. So let's add 2 fields more. The first one is going to be edit. So we want to be able to edit users data. By the time we get to the update function, I want to be able to delete the user. So what we're going to do here is going to add another table data just like this, and we're going to be adding just like we added in the front page, the button, okay, this anchor tag. So we're going to be using that. All right, so we're just going to copy this guy and go to users inside of here, and we're going to say edit, and the button is going to be info, the button style. Then we're going to copy this, so let's just paste it inside here, and we're going to say delete. We're going to say danger for the class because it's a delete action. So let's take out the btn small. We don't want the button to be small. All right, so we're going to take out these links. We don't want them for now. So we're just going to put hashtag, which means go nowhere. So whenever we click on the button, it's not going to navigate to any page at all. So once we save, we refresh, and yeah, our table is looking better. All right, you see we just have one value, one row here, which is hard coded. So for us to just duplicate the rows, all we need to do is come to the table body, copy from the T row opening tag to the closing tag. We just copy and paste. So we copy paste. Let's do that for 2 times. So we change the serial number. We can say let's say unique. Let's say praise. All right. We scroll down. We say let's say good luck. And let's say what name are we gonna use? Let's say good luck Peter. Okay. Then we save. So once we refresh, so we have 3 data. Okay, let's change the serial number for this. Let's make it 3. All right, so once we refresh, we'll see this. So the table stripe which we added, which is this class at the top, the table striped. So this is the table stripe. So one of the table is looking gray, one of the rows is looking gray, the other will be showing displaying white background, while the other will be showing gray. So just like that, as it goes on, it's going to be displaying that way. So if we should add one more row in the body, so the next row is going to be displaying just white background. So that is what the table stripe stands for. All right, so let's take that out. So this is how we want to fetch. We want to fetch our data from the back end and display them on this table. But currently we are just manually inputting this data on the table. Okay, so that is what I want us to learn for this video, just creating the front end. So in the next video, we're going to learn how to fetch those data from the database and display them on this table. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.